The poster arrived in January, as it does every year. Names stacked upon names. Fonts shrinking as you move down the lineup. A hierarchy of fame measured in typography. The headliners in bold, commanding attention. The smaller acts below, hoping this year might be their breakthrough. The dates fixed, the location eternal. Indio, California. The desert that blooms once a year with something that used to be a music festival. She had saved for 11 months, every paycheck, a portion set aside. No dinners out, no weekend trips, no new clothes except the ones she would need for those 3 days in April. The ticket cost $500 before fees. After fees, closer to $600. She told herself it was worth it. She had been telling herself that for 3 years, ever since she first heard about Coachella from friends who described it like a religious experience. She flew from Chicago, another $400. She split a hotel room 40 minutes from the venue with 3 strangers she met online, another $300 for her share. She rented a car because there was no other way to get there. Another $200. She bought the outfit she had seen on Instagram, the one that seemed mandatory, the crochet top and denim shorts and boots that would be ruined by dust within hours. Another $150. Before she had heard a single note of music, she'd spent nearly $2,000. She was 24 years old and made $42,000 a year. This single weekend represented more than 2 weeks of her labor, after taxes. But she was finally going to Coachella. She was finally going to experience what everyone talked about. What she found when she arrived was not what anyone had described. This is the story of Coachella, the festival that became a phenomenon. The phenomenon that became a brand, and the brand that forgot why anyone cared in the first place. The first Coachella took place in October 1999. It was a gamble by a concert promoter named Paul T. Staged at the Empire Polo Club in Indio, a patch of grass in the desert that seemed like an unlikely place for anything to happen. The lineup included Beck, Morrissey, Rage Against the Machine, and dozens of other acts that defined the alternative music landscape of the late 90s. Approximately 25,000 people attended that first year. The festival lost money. Most people thought it would never happen again. But something had been created in that desert. Something that felt different from other concerts. The setting itself contributed to the atmosphere. The mountains in the distance. The palm trees. The surreal quality of music echoing across a landscape that seemed to belong to another planet. The people who attended that first Coachella spoke about it in terms that went beyond entertainment. They spoke about community, about discovery, about moments that could not be replicated anywhere else. The festival returned in 2001 and has continued every year since. Through the early and mid-2000s, Coachella built its reputation through performances that became legendary. Radiohead in 2004, playing a setlist that fans still discuss 2 decades later. Daft Punk in 2006, the Pyramid stage show that redefined what a live electronic performance could be. Prince in 2008, performing in the rain, proving that even nature could not diminish certain magic. These were performances that people traveled specifically to witness. The music was the reason. The festival was the vehicle. The relationship was clear. The tickets in those early years cost around $200. Expensive, but not impossible. The crowds were large, but not overwhelming. The infrastructure was adequate for the number of attendees. People came for music and found music. The transaction made sense. The transformation began slowly, then accelerated beyond anyone's prediction. The rise of social media, Instagram in particular, changed what Coachella meant and who it attracted. The festival that existed for sound became a festival that existed for sight. The music remained, but it was no longer the point. The economics of modern Coachella bear little resemblance to the festival that began in 1999. What was once expensive has become prohibitive. What was once a splurge has become a small fortune. General admission tickets now exceed $500, but this figure represents only the beginning of the calculation. The service fees add another $100. The shuttle passes, necessary for anyone not driving, add another $80. The parking passes, necessary for anyone who is driving, add another $60. Before setting foot on the festival grounds, an attendee has spent over $700. VIP tickets cost over $1,000. The elite tier, marketed as offering premium viewing and exclusive amenities, approaches $1,500. The super VIP packages, which include access to areas where celebrities congregate, cost several $1,000s, and sell out within minutes. But the tickets are merely the entry fee to a much larger extraction system. Accommodation has become perhaps the greatest expense. Indio is a small city in the California desert, and its hotel inventory cannot remotely accommodate the 100,000 people who descend each weekend. The basic hotels in the area, properties that might normally charge $80 per night, command $400 or $500. During Coachella, many require minimum stays of 3 or 4 nights. Those who cannot afford hotels or find them booked turn to camping. The on-site camping option costs another $150 and provides a patch of ground on which to pitch a tent. The ground is hard. The nights are cold. The days are brutally hot. The showers are inadequate. The experience is not what the word camping might suggest to someone imagining nature retreats. The off-site camping options in nearby locations like Lake El Dorado offer slightly better conditions at significantly higher prices. Some packages exceed $1,000 for the weekend. These are tents, not hotels, in a desert, yet they command prices that would be considered luxury in major cities. The house rentals that have sprung up to meet demand represent the upper tier of accommodation excess. Homes in Palm Springs, 30 minutes from the venue, rent for $5,000 per night during Coachella. Homes in La Quinta, slightly closer, might reach $10,000. The luxury estates, where celebrities and influencers stay, command prices that are not publicly listed, negotiated privately between owners and representatives. Transportation adds another layer of cost. The shuttle system from various pickup points charges $80 for a pass. Rideshare services implement surge pricing that can make a simple trip to the venue cost $50 or more. The parking situation creates its own nightmare, with waits sometimes exceeding an hour just to exit after the day's events. The extraction continues inside the festival grounds with prices that shock even those who expect it to be shocked. A bottle of water costs $5. In a desert, in April, when temperatures regularly exceed 90 degrees, the mathematics of survival become expensive mathematics. A person who stays hydrated throughout a 12-hour festival day might spend $30 on water alone. Multiply that by 3 days, and the cost of not collapsing from heat exhaustion approaches $100. The food options present similar calculations. A basic meal, a burger or tacos or pizza of unremarkable quality, costs between $15 and $20. The elevated food options, the Instagram-worthy meals from celebrity chef pop, range from $25 to $40. A family trying to eat 3 meals per day at the festival would spend well over $100 daily on food alone. The alcohol prices follow the same logic of captive audience exploitation. A buyer costs $15. A cocktail approaches $20. A bottle of wine in the VIP area might cost $75 or $100. The revenue generated from beverage sales alone reportedly exceeds what the entire festival earned in its early years. The merchandise tents offer Coachella-branded items at prices that would be remarkable, even for luxury goods. T-shirts cost $50. Hoodies cost over $100. The limited edition collaborations with fashion brands command prices that make luxury retail seem reasonable. People buy these items because they represent proof of attendance, physical evidence that can be worn and photographed and displayed. The Wi-Fi, necessary for the social media activity that has become the festival's primary purpose, is often inadequate. The cellular networks become overloaded with 100,000 people trying to post simultaneously. The frustration of being unable to share the moment sometimes exceeds the frustration of any other inconvenience. The medical tents operate continuously, treating heat exhaustion, dehydration, and the various consequences of tens of thousands of people exerting themselves in desert conditions. The dust that pervades everything. The famous Coachella dust that coats every surface and fills every lung, creates respiratory issues that persist long after the festival ends. The promotional images of Coachella show beautiful people in beautiful settings. The golden light of desert sunset illuminating scenes of joy and freedom. What these images do not show is what the festival actually feels like to attend. The heat is relentless and inescapable. Daytime temperatures frequently exceed 95 degrees. The sun in the desert is not the sun of other places. It is closer, more intense, more aggressive. There is minimal natural shade on the polo fields. The artificial shade structures are perpetually overcrowded, filled with people seeking refuge from conditions that the human body was not designed to endure for 12 hours at a stretch. The dust is legendary and unavoidable. The polo fields are grass, but grass that has been trampled by hundreds of thousands of feet becomes something else. A fine, tan powder coats everything. Clothes, skin, equipment, food, water bottles, the inside of nostrils and throats. People develop what veterans call Coachella cough, a persistent irritation that begins during the festival and continues 4 days afterward. The bathrooms are a horror that no promotional material addresses. The ratio of toilets to attendees is inadequate by any reasonable standard. The lines stretch dozens of people deep. The wait times can exceed 30 minutes. The conditions inside the portable toilets deteriorate throughout the day, becoming progressively more unpleasant as use increases, and servicing falls behind. By evening, some portable toilets are essentially unusable. The smell permeates the surrounding area. The sanitary supplies run out. People face the choice of waiting in longer lines for better maintained facilities or accepting conditions that they would not accept anywhere else in their lives. The shower facilities at the camping areas present similar challenges. The water pressure is inconsistent. The wait times are long. The privacy is minimal. People who have paid thousands of dollars for the Coachella experience find themselves struggling to maintain basic hygiene in conditions that would be considered inadequate at a budget campground. The food safety in desert heat raises concerns that are rarely discussed. The food vendors operate under challenging conditions, preparing and serving meals in temperatures that accelerate bacterial growth. The ice that keeps things cold melts quickly. The refrigeration struggles against ambient temperatures. Whether the inspection and oversight match the risk is a question that most attendees prefer not to consider. The medical incidents are numerous and predictable. Dehydration and heat exhaustion account for the majority. The inevitable result of combining desert conditions with physical activity and, often, alcohol consumption. The medical staff are experienced and competent, but they are treating a constant stream of patients whose conditions were entirely foreseeable and largely preventable if the festival were designed differently. The moment Coachella became something other than a music festival can be traced to the rise of Instagram and the influencer economy that grew alongside it. What had been a gathering of music fans became a gathering of content creators. What had been about hearing became about being seen. The evidence is visible in how people position themselves throughout the festival grounds. The art installations, originally conceived as environmental enhancement, have become the primary destination for many attendees. The giant structures, the colorful sculptures, the design spaces intended to complement the music, have become backdrops for photographs that will be posted, analyzed, liked, and monetized. The Ferris wheel, visible from miles away, has become one of the most photographed objects at Coachella. The line to ride it stretches for hours, but many people in that line have no interest in the ride itself. They want the photograph from the top, the golden hour shot with the desert spreading below. The image that will anchor their Coachella content. The VIP areas have evolved into content creation studios. The brands that sponsor these areas have understood the exchange perfectly. They provide attractive backdrops, good lighting, and exclusive access. In return, they receive millions of dollars worth of organic advertising as influencers post photographs tagged with brand names to audiences. That number in the millions. The clothing worn at Coachella has become a phenomenon entirely separate from the music. The Coachella look has been codified and commercialized, a specific aesthetic of bohemian luxury that brands have learned to exploit. Fashion companies release Coachella collections. Rental services offer festival-specific wardrobes. The outfit has become as important as the ticket, another cost in an already expensive equation. Some attendees bring multiple outfits per day, changing between photo sessions to create the illusion of an even more extensive wardrobe than they actually possess. The outfit worn to watch a band might be different from the outfit worn to photograph at an installation. Different again from the outfit worn to the VIP area. The festival has become a fashion shoot, with music as ambient sound. The phenomenon of attending Coachella without watching any music has become common enough to be unremarkable. People pay hundreds of dollars to enter the grounds, spend the entire day photographing themselves at various locations, and leave without ever approaching a stage. They have gotten what they came for. The music was never the point. The commercial presence at Coachella has expanded to consume nearly every available space and moment. What began as modest sponsorship has evolved into total brand saturation that transforms the festival into a 3-day advertisement punctuated by occasional performances. The sponsored experiences have become destinations in themselves. Brands construct elaborate installations that rival the official art pieces in scale and ambition. These installations are designed specifically for content creation, optimized for the photograph that will be shared, calculated to generate maximum visibility for minimum explicit advertising. The VIP areas are no longer simply better views and cleaner bathrooms. They are branded environments where the lifestyle being sold is made tangible. The drinks served are from sponsoring beverage companies. The lounges are designed by sponsoring furniture brands. The gift bags contain products from sponsoring beauty companies. Every element reinforces the commercial message while appearing to be hospitality. The celebrity appearances at brand activations sometimes draw larger crowds than the musical performances. When a famous face appears at a sponsored party, the attention of the festival pivots. The Instagram stories shift from stages to wherever the famous person has been spotted. The brand gets the association. The celebrity gets the payment. The attendees get content. The musical acts themselves have become participants in the commercial ecosystem. The days when artists came to Coachella purely for artistic expression have yielded to a reality where performances are negotiated as part of larger brand partnerships. An artist might perform at the festival as part of a deal that includes other sponsored appearances throughout the weekend. The authentic moment has become nearly impossible to locate. Every space is designed. Every experience is curated. Every photograph is essentially an advertisement, whether the photographer realizes it or not. The attendees have become unwitting participants in a marketing exercise that uses their presence and their social networks to sell products they may not even consciously notice. The media coverage reflects this commercial saturation. The stories about Coachella focused on fashion, on celebrity sightings, on brand activations. The music coverage has become secondary, mentioned almost as an afterthought. The festival that was founded to celebrate music has become famous for everything except music. The disconnect between Coachella's identity as a music festival and its reality as a social media event is visible in the crowds themselves, or rather, in where the crowds choose to gather. Veteran attendees report a phenomenon that has accelerated in recent years. The stages, where the music happens, often have visible space in front of them. The areas between the art installations and food vendors, where photographs happen, are perpetually packed. The festival has inverted. The ostensible purpose has become the secondary attraction. Some artists have noticed and commented, performing to a crowd where a significant percentage of faces are illuminated by phone screens, where people are texting and posting rather than watching, creates a different kind of show. The energy exchange that makes live music powerful depends on attention. When attention is fragmented across multiple screens, the exchange weakens. The sound, once the primary reason for the gathering, now competes with the visual demands of content creation. People position themselves for photographs without regard for acoustic quality. The spots with the best sound are often less crowded than the spots with the best lighting. The ears have become secondary to the eyes. The smaller stages, where unknown artists perform, hoping for the exposure that might change their careers, are often nearly empty. These artists play their sets to scattered attendees, while thousands of people who paid $500 for tickets mill about in areas where no music is happening. The discovery that once defined Coachella, finding the next great artist before anyone else knew their name, has become rare. The headliners still draw massive crowds, but even these crowds behave differently than crowds behaved a decade ago. The phone screens held aloft create a strange visual, a sea of glowing rectangles between the stage and the eyes that should be watching it. The recording of the moment has replaced the experiencing of it. The proof of attendance has become more important than the attendance itself. After the festival ends, the posts appear. Carefully curated collections of images that present an experience the attendee may not actually have had. The best moments of 3 days, edited and filtered and captioned, creating an impression of continuous joy that bears little resemblance to the heat, the dust, the lines, and the expense that comprised the actual experience. The sun sets over the Empire Polo Fields, casting the golden light that photographers have learned to anticipate and exploit. The stages are illuminated for the evening performances. The crowds shift from the content creation locations toward the music, ready for the headliners who justify the ticket prices. The desert cools to temperatures that feel like relief after the brutality of the afternoon. This is still, technically, a music festival. the artists still perform. The sound systems still deliver audio at volumes designed to overwhelm. The moments that people remember, the songs that trigger emotional responses, the performances that exceed expectations. These still happen. Coachella has not eliminated music. It has simply demoted it. The question that hangs over the entire enterprise is whether this matters. If people are willing to pay thousands of dollars for an experience, they will largely document rather than experience. Woo is Ahmed. If brands are willing to sponsor an event that delivers their messages to millions of engaged consumers, what is wrong with that? If artists are willing to perform knowing that many in the crowd are only partially paying attention, have they not accepted the terms? The harm, if harm is the right word, may be harder to locate than any specific grievance. It exists in the transformation of experience into content, in the replacement of presence with documentation, in the conversion of a gathering that once meant something into a gathering that means only what can be captured and shared. The young woman from Chicago, the one who saved for 11 months, left Coachella with a carefully curated collection of photographs that she would post over the following weeks, spacing them out to extend the perception of the experience. Her followers would see a weekend of apparent magic. What they would not see was the sunburn, the dust in her lungs, the hours in lines, the money hemorrhaging from her account with every purchase. They would not see her standing at a stage. Finally, for an artist she had wanted to see for years, surrounded by people looking at their phones, they would not see her realization, gradual and unwelcome, that the festival she had imagined bore little resemblance to the festival that existed. They would not see it the moment she understood that she had saved for 11 months to attend a 3-day advertisement where music occasionally happened. She posted the photos anyway. She captioned them with enthusiasm she did not entirely feel. She participated in the cycle that she had traveled 2,000 miles to join, and she began to wonder if she would do it again, or if this experience, like so many experiences that look better in photographs than they feel in person, was something to check off a list rather than repeat. Coachella continues every April. The tickets sell out within hours. The prices increase each year. The brands invest more heavily. The content creation intensifies. The music plays somewhere in the background, while the real business of the festival happens in front of cameras. The desert blooms once a year with flowers that die in the heat. The festival blooms with something similar, beautiful from certain angles, temporary by design, and increasingly difficult to distinguish from the advertising that surrounds it. Is this still a music festival? The answer depends on what you came for. If you came for music, you may leave wondering why you came at all. If you came for content, you probably got exactly what you paid for. And if you came believing the promise, the original promise of a gathering in the desert where sound and community created something unrepeatable, you may leave with the heaviest disappointment of all. The discovery that the promise was retired years ago, and nobody thought to update the marketing.